A single Irish surname once carried enough weight to determine whether a stranger offered you shelter, demanded your loyalty, or challenged you with a sword. Long before modern passports, family names were living proof of where you belonged, whose protection you could claim, and which powerful dynasty flowed through your veins. That forgotten system still survives today. Across Ireland, America, Canada, Australia, and countless other countries, millions of people proudly carry Irish surnames without realizing they may be preserving a bloodline that stretches back more than 1,000 years. Some descend from legendary high kings, others trace their ancestry to fearless warriors, influential poets, or powerful chieftains who ruled ancient kingdoms long before England set foot on Irish soil. But Irish surnames hold another secret. Not every family story survived unchanged. Wars, invasions, famine, migration, and political oppression altered countless names, making some bloodlines difficult to recognize. Hidden beneath familiar spellings are fragments of the old Gaelic world, waiting to be uncovered. To understand these names, we first have to understand the remarkable civilization that created them. Long before Ireland became a modern nation, it was divided into dozens of independent kingdoms known as tuatha. Each had its own ruler, traditions, laws, and proud family dynasties. There was no single Irish king controlling the entire island for most of its history. Instead, powerful clans competed for influence while recognizing the symbolic authority of the High King at Tara. Family was everything. Your ancestors determined your rights. Your kin protected your land. Your surname connected you to generations whose stories were remembered through oral tradition long before they were written in books. Unlike much of medieval Europe, Ireland developed one of the world's earliest hereditary surname systems. Beginning around the 10th century, Gaelic families started using permanent surnames centuries before many neighboring countries adopted the practice. That decision preserved extraordinary pieces of Irish history. Many surnames still reveal exactly which ancient dynasty a family belonged to. One of the most recognizable is O'Brien. The Gaelic form O'Brien means descendant of Brian. That Brian was none other than Brian Boru, perhaps Ireland's most famous high king. Born around 1941 AB, Brian rose from the kingdom of Munster to unite much of Ireland under his authority. His greatest achievement came at the Battle of Clontarf in 1914. Although Brian himself died during the conflict, his forces defeated a coalition of Viking and Irish rivals, forever changing the balance of power on the island. The battle eventually became a symbol of Irish resistance and national identity. To carry the surname O'Brien is to preserve the memory of one of Ireland's greatest rulers. But Brian Boru was far from the only king whose legacy survives through family names. Another ancient dynasty lives on through the surname O'Neill. Derived from O'Neill, the name means descendant of Niall. That ancestor is traditionally linked to Niall of the Nine Hostages, a semi-legendary high king believed to have lived during the 5th century. According to tradition, Niall earned his title after taking noble hostages from regions under his control, demonstrating political dominance across Ireland and beyond. Whether every detail of the legend is historically accurate remains debated. What cannot be denied is the extraordinary influence of the O'Neill dynasty. For centuries they ruled much of Ulster, resisting both Norman expansion and later English control. Even during the Tudor conquest, the O'Neills remained among England's most formidable opponents. Their determination helped shape Irish history for generations. Yet another powerful family emerged from Cont. The surname O'Connor, or O'Concha Bear, means descendant of Conchobar. Several branches of the O'Connor family produced High Kings of Ireland. Among them was Turlough O'Connor, who spent much of the 12th century attempting to restore centralized authority over the island. His reign reflected a recurring theme in Irish history: ambition, unity, and constant rivalry between competing kingdoms. Even Ireland's greatest rulers rarely enjoyed lasting peace. Still, the O'Connor bloodline remains one of the oldest continuously recorded royal families in Europe. The story becomes even more fascinating in the southwest. The surname MacCarthy comes from MacCarthic, meaning son of Carthag. Following the decline of Brian Boru's descendants, the MacCarthys emerged as dominant rulers in large parts of Munster. They built impressive castles throughout County Cork and County Kerry while supporting Irish learning, poetry, and religious institutions. Their influence extended far beyond warfare. Like many Gaelic rulers, they understood that preserving culture could be just as important as winning battles. Many medieval Irish manuscripts survived because noble families, such as the MacCarthys, patronized scholars and scribes. Their greatest victories may not have been fought with swords at all. Not every famous Irish surname begins with O. The name Fitzgerald tells a very different story. Unlike ancient Gaelic families, the Fitzgeralds arrived with the Norman invasion during the 12th century. Their surname comes from the Norman French word Fitz, meaning some of. Despite foreign origins, the Fitzgeralds gradually became more Irish than many native Irish families. A famous saying claimed they became more Irish than the Irish themselves. They adopted local customs, spoke Irish, intermarried with Gaelic nobility, supported Irish causes. Their transformation demonstrates how identity evolves over time. Bloodline alone never tells the entire story. Another family whose influence stretched across medieval Ireland was the O'Donnell dynasty. Originating in Donegal, the O'Donnells ruled the powerful kingdom of Tyrconnell. During the 9 Years' War at the end of the 16th century, Hugh Roe O'Donnell became one of Ireland's greatest military leaders. Together with Hugh O'Neill, he organized one of the largest Gaelic resistance movements against English expansion. Although ultimate victory proved impossible, their courage inspired generations. The real surprise came after defeat. Many surviving Irish nobles left the country during the flight of the Earls in 1607. That single event marked the end of the traditional Gaelic political order. Yet their surnames survived long after their kingdoms disappeared. Another remarkable surname is O'Sullivan. Derived from O'Sullivan, it means descendant of Sullivan. The O'Sullivans controlled important territories in southwest Ireland before facing enormous pressure during English conquest. Perhaps no episode better demonstrates their resilience than the famous march of Donal Colm O'Sullivan Bear. In 1602, after losing his stronghold, O'Sullivan led hundreds of followers on a brutal winter journey across Ireland. Only a fraction survived, yet the march entered Irish history as one of the greatest stories of endurance ever recorded. Sometimes survival becomes a greater victory than conquest. The surname Murphy appears almost everywhere today. Its Gaelic origin, Olmercada, means descendant of Murchadad. The personal name Murchadad translates roughly as sea warrior. Unlike many surnames associated with a single ruling dynasty, Murphy developed across several unrelated Irish regions. That explains why it eventually became one of Ireland's most common surnames. Many people sharing the name today are not closely related. Instead, multiple powerful Gaelic families independently adopted the same ancestral name centuries ago. Genealogy often reveals unexpected complexity, hiding beneath familiar words. Another name deeply rooted in Irish history is O'Reilly. Originating in County Cavan, the O'Reilly clan accumulated remarkable wealth through control of trade routes connecting different regions of medieval Ireland. Their prosperity became so well known that the phrase, "the life of Riley," although its exact origin remains debated, is often popularly associated with comfortable living. Whether the expression truly traces back to the family remains uncertain. But the O'Reillys unquestionably became one of Ireland's most influential dynasties. Their silver coins circulated widely. Their castles dominated local landscapes. Their legacy still echoes through Irish history. One final surname demonstrates how deeply ancient Gaelic identity survived despite extraordinary change. The name O'Brien, O'Neill, O'Connor, MacCarthy, O'Donnell, O'Sullivan, Murphy, O'Reilly, Fitzgerald, and countless others all experienced periods when their original Gaelic forms faced pressure. During centuries of English administration, many Irish surnames were anglicized. O'Brien became O'Brien, O'Neill became O'Neill, MacCarthy became MacCarthy. Some families dropped the O or Mac entirely. Others adopted simplified spellings to fit English records. A surname that looks English today may hide unmistakably Gaelic origins. That transformation accelerated during one of Ireland's darkest chapters. The Great Famine of the 1840s forced more than 1 million people to emigrate. Ships carried Irish families to America, Canada, Australia, and Britain. Immigration officials did not routinely rename arrivals, despite popular myths. More often, families themselves gradually simplified difficult spellings or adapted pronunciation to fit their new homes. Generation after generation, ancient Gaelic names quietly evolved. Yet their roots remained remarkably resilient. Modern DNA testing has encouraged millions to rediscover Irish ancestry. But genetics tells only part of the story. Historical records remain equally important. Church registers, land surveys, parish records, ancient annals, family letters. Together they reveal connections stretching back across 1,000 years. Sometimes the discoveries confirm cherished family traditions. Other times they overturn everything descendants believed. That's part of the excitement. Every surname represents an invitation to investigate further. Historians also remind us that sharing an Irish surname does not automatically prove direct descent from a famous king or legendary warrior. Branches separated, families merged. Some adopted names through allegiance rather than blood. Others belonged to entirely different lineages carrying similar surnames. Responsible genealogy values evidence over assumption. Even so, the survival of these ancient names remains extraordinary. Few countries preserved hereditary surnames as early or as successfully as Ireland. Every O, every Mac, every carefully recorded Gaelic ancestor represents another thread connecting the modern world to one of Europe's oldest continuous cultural traditions. Centuries ago, your surname could determine your place in Irish society before you spoke a single word. Today, those same names carry something even more valuable. They preserve memories of forgotten kingdoms, ancient dynasties, and generations who refuse to let their identity disappear. Behind every Irish surname lies more than a family. It carries the echo of an entire civilization. If your family name has a story worth discovering, subscribe for more forgotten history.